Good day, ladies and gentlemen. As we live in a contemporary world and being able to make ourselves to be the person we can be.
Our team Miss Abad and
Mr. Agapito for Securitization Theory,
Miss Amparo,
and Miss Abuan for Critical Geography.
Miss Borromeo and
Mr. Britannico for Croatian Perspectives.
what is securitization theory and why did this theory exist? Here is a brief history. The US and the USSR or Russia fight for their pride in who is the most powerful country, which led them to create powerful weapons such as nuclear weapons. Eventually, they realized that if one attacks the other, it can lead to World War III, and because of the advancement with nuclear weapons, it can destroy the entire world, so they continue to not use these weapons. That's why it is called a Cold War. This rivalry between two comes up with a lot of theories. One of those is the securitization theory. The securitization theory is the process of state actors to make a particular subject a threat. For the securitization to work, an actor is needed and can articulate threats to a specific object or with the sectors. To understand well how securitization happens, let's see the clip art. The actor or the mayor will succeed if his people will believe what he says. To explain further, let's analyze these statements. Joshua says that the forest is full of wild animals, but Jayson says that the forest is dangerous. Both of them are correct, but if you take Joshua's statement, there are some who will take the risk to enter the forest to see those wild animals. On the other hand, if we take Jayson's statement, we will realize that we must not enter the forest because there are possibilities that we will be in danger. Now, if I am a forester and I don't want my forest to be destroyed, I will use the statement of Jayson to securitize the threat that something will happen if I allow someone to enter the forest.
in application to contemporary issues, let's discuss a successful case of securitization between Europe and the Islamic State group. Islamic State group, commonly known as ISIS, has been presented as a threat following the attacks in several European cities as it affects at least three sectors of the state: political, military, and societal sectors. Some noticeable securitizing moves made were the extreme claims made in the following: tabloid newspapers accused Ruru, the statement of argument of British Prime Minister David Cameron during the House of Commons debate on December 2, 2015, and the declaration of President Holland after the Paris attacks on November 13, 2015. Their claims and speeches, particularly those of President Holland, highlight the following 3 points. First is the existentially threatening nature of the ISIS group. Second is the point of no return, where they said that they should no longer wait to reduce the threat. And the third is the solution, which breaks free the normal democratic processes, as they stated that it's not whether about they want to fight terrorism, but about how best they can do so. The jury questions the processes by which ISIS came to be portrayed as a threat, arguing that by labeling a group as a threat, leaders of the European states such as France and the United Kingdom are also implicated in the making of the war. In this sense, it emphasizes how Holland's securitizing speech act not only describes the current state of affairs, but also constitutes attacks as an act of war, bringing war into being. Moreover, his way of describing the threat posed by the ISIS group can be regarded as a political act. To summarize, the process of securitization will succeed if there is an actor that can use the language of security to convince the audience of a certain threat. It is successful if the actor was able to make the audience believe. Securitization theory can be considered as an escape to reality by using rhetorical language to convince people that there is a threat to a particular object. Now let's move on to the next topic, critical geography.
What is critical geography? The critical geography is merely based on the beliefs of the people that they have the possibility of changing the world's environment. Critical geography offers a means of examining international political behavior, including the relationships between the following: governments and people, states at regional and global levels, and between international organizations and states. Now, there are a number of key ideas and concepts within critical geography that offer alternative analysis of international relations. For example, think about how the world is represented on a standard political map. A political map represents the world in terms of individual states separated from each other by territorial borders. There are other statements or arguments about what should be done to secure or maintain current arrangements of power, such as taking action to protect our borders, to secure our national interests, or to enhance national security.
In addition, critical geography highlights how issues of economics and climate change impact people and show the spatial effect of these processes that differ in how they are dealt with by the states, international organizations, and within academia. For example, the majority of the scholarly analysis of the International Panel on Climate Change, or the IPCC, in Copenhagen in Denmark in 2009, describe how opinions of state representatives regarding action on climate change and emission on greenhouse gases fell into three camps that consisted of North America and Europe, whose past industrial activities contributed to most of the problems of climate change, industrializing countries such as the BRICS nations, which tended to see no alternative to carbon emission as a means to fuel economic growth, and poorer countries, which were more likely to disagree to changes on the basis that development and poverty alleviation represented more pressing goals. It challenges assumptions about space and theory, offers new conceptual and analytic tools, and encourages students to question mainstream thinking.
In relation to the contemporary world, most especially the critical geography shows us how issues in the environment are taking advantage of the contemporary world. It is and will continue to be a problem in the future that the world is still suffering from the world's economic and climate changes that happened in the past.
Now, let's move on to the last topic, Asian perspectives.
The Western views and way of thinking on international relations theory, or IR, have been the basis of the study, and this was the case until the rising countries, China and India, made their way in introducing their perspectives as non-Western IR theory. The Western IR theory eventually questioned how this would solve global concerns if this is a one-sided study. The Asian views on world politics, of course, have different approaches and theories as follows. In the end, regardless of diversity, the West and Asia have the same vision: to empower their countries while having a good and strong relationship between states. One best example is the Sino-Philippine relationship. Today, China and the Philippines are having both conflict and agreement. This scenario applies the relationality theory of kin-yaking. The two countries compete for territorial claims on the South China Sea or the West Philippine Sea. However, this situation does not hinder their growing economic relations, which shows how both countries act depending on what benefit they get from each other.
From the perspective of relationality, both political tension and economic cooperation constitute the Sino-Philippine relationship. Applying the Zongyong concept suggests how opposites give rise to positive interactions, rendering harmony, not conflict, as the state of nature. Zongyong is the basic principle that Chinese people use to confront the world. It allows them to capture the essence of social operation. Therefore, examining the influence of Zongyong on creativity can reveal how cultural factors and principles affect creativity. This research attempted to redefine the concept of Zongyong by exploring its structure, based on previous literature on Zongyong. This redefined concept potentially deepened the understanding of how Chinese traditional culture influences creativity. In support of characterization, Pang 1980-2000 indicated that Zongyong is not only part of the ethics of Confucianism, but also how Chinese understand and interact with the rest of the world. In the light of the uncertainties and anxieties accompanying the rise of non-Western countries, higher scholarship must act as a lens for analyzing real-world phenomena, but also as a valuable and practice guide for how we should work with a changing global environment, capturing both diversity and unity of insights to be gained from the mainstream and Asian IR perspectives. And that brings us to the end of our presentation. Once again, we are Group 1 and hope you learned something for us, and thank you for listening.